Hello, it's Miss Dom, and I am going to share with you some artwork from the North Carolina Museum of Art's collection. And then I'm going to invite you to fill out a Google form, which can also be found on this slide. So today I'm just talking about art, and I decided to go in a different direction in terms of when you think about the word romantic. Oftentimes you think about Valentine's Day and love and hearts, but the word romantic can mean different things. And so in art, there was a romantic movement, and it didn't just involve painting. There was also a musical component to it and a writing component to it, but it was a movement, and the word romantic more closely goes along with the word dramatic rather than lovey-dovey when we think of the word romantic today. So I am going to be sharing with you romantic landscape paintings that are part of the American collection in the North Carolina Museum of Art. And this one's actually called Romantic Landscape. It's by Thomas Cole, and it was painted in 1826. So this particular movement took place during the 1800s, and the dramatic style of painting, personally, I like the landscapes the best, and I think the most good came out of the landscapes, and I'll explain what I mean in just a little bit. But the romantic painting movement didn't just involve landscapes. Some of the other themes were themes, again, we're talking dramatic when we say romantic rather than lovey-dovey. So you might see things like war or somebody about to get eaten by a shark. But I personally do not like war and people getting eaten by sharks, so I'm sticking with the landscapes. And our museum has a beautiful collection of these landscapes that I'd like to share with you. So notice how in this painting, what makes it dramatic? You might notice that the lighting is very dramatic. And so this style of painting may have helped inspire the next movement, which was Impressionism, or another movement that came about shortly after, called Impressionism, where the artist really focused on light and shadows. But here, the light was used to make the image more dramatic, and it's quite beautiful. So let's take a look at another one. Let's see, next slide. Okay, this one's called Landscape in Ecuador by Louis Remy Mignot, painted in 1859. And so what was going on during this time? This was the time of westward expansion. This was the time of the California Gold Rush. This was the time of the Intercontinental Railroad. This was also the time of the Civil War. And then after that, the Emancipation Proclamation. So not only was the art dramatic, but there were a lot of dramatic things happening in terms of history. This is Bridal Veil Falls. This was painted in 1871 to 1873 in Yosemite. It's about Albert Bierstadt. And these romantic paintings, remember I said something good came out of it. These romantic landscape paintings with the dramatic scenery and the dramatic lighting, and sort of this, awe-inspiring views, helped to begin what is now the national park system. So the very first national park was created during this time, and part of what inspired legislators to create these national parks, because remember, they were over in Washington, D.C., they weren't out west. But when people came back from the West with these stories and these beautiful images, they wanted to preserve this this land for future generations. This one's called Fiercely the Red Sun Descending Burned His Way Along the Heavens, done by Thomas Moran in 1875 to 1876. Even the title is dramatic. The colors are dramatic. And so you see this drama and this intensity with the colors and the movement in the water and the clouds. So again, the word romantic not necessarily meaning lovey-dovey, but more of a dramatic view. Okay, and then this one, let's see, Mono Pass, Sierra Nevada Mountains, painted in 1877 by William Keith. And again, these were awe-inspiring paintings. And when people saw these beautiful images, they just wanted to preserve this land and keep it beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed seeing these paintings. These paintings were done again in the 1800s. So this was before we had cell phones and computers and, you know, all the things that today we sort of take for granted in terms of technology. This was when, you know, if you wanted to travel across the country, you couldn't just jump on an airplane. They were just building the railroads. And so, you know, if you were lucky, you could maybe catch a train. But very different times. So I hope you enjoyed this quick view of a little short lesson on romantic landscape paintings. Again, these paintings do belong to the North Carolina Museum of Art, which belongs to all of us. And next time you visit the North Carolina Museum of Art, you might get to see some of these paintings in person, which is always exciting. But in the meantime, enjoy your art time. And again, instead of creating art, which I invite you to always create art, even if I don't tell you to, but what I'd really like you to do is fill out that Google form. It's kind of a little bit of a survey, and then in the future, I'm going to be giving you some Google forms to fill out just to check in. And then if you want to turn in some of your artwork for me to take a look at, you can do that through the Google form. So the Google form is just a way for me to be able to touch base with you and see what you're doing, for you to tell me what's going on, and have a little bit of communication. So please do fill it out, and I'll see you next time.